How can we start tree nurseries to reforest and regenerate the environment globally? Starting tree nurseries to reforest and regenerate the environment globally is a critical step in combating deforestation, restoring ecosystems, and addressing climate change. The process involves careful planning, community involvement, and sustainable practices. Assessing local needs and conditions. Research the local ecosystem. Understand the native tree species, soil types, climate, and ecological requirements of the area. Identify reforestation goals. Determine the purpose of reforestation, such as restoring degraded land, enhancing biodiversity, sequestering carbon, or supporting local livelihoods. Engage local communities. Involve indigenous people, farmers, and other stakeholders to ensure the project aligns with their needs and knowledge. Planning the nursery. Site selection. Choose a site with access to water, fertile soil, and protection from harsh weather. Ensure it is close to the reforestation area to reduce transportation costs and stress on seedlings. Design and layout. Plan for seed beds, shading structures, water systems, storage areas, and workspaces for staff and volunteers. Seed selection. Collect seeds from native and diverse tree species, prioritizing those that support wildlife, improve soil fertility, and have economic or cultural value. Establishing the nursery. Infrastructure setup. Build raised seed beds, install irrigation systems, and construct shade houses if necessary. Seed germination. Sow seeds in prepared soil or containers with proper drainage. Monitor temperature, moisture, and sunlight levels to ensure optimal conditions. Maintenance. Regularly water, weed, and protect seedlings from pests and diseases. Use organic fertilizers and pest control methods when possible. Scaling operations. Train staff and volunteers. Provide training on nursery management, planting techniques, and monitoring seedlings. Expand capacity. Increase production as demand grows by replicating successful practices in new locations. Partnerships and funding. Collaborate with governments, NGOs, businesses, and international organizations to secure funding and technical support. Preparing for planting. Harden off seedlings. Gradually expose seedlings to outdoor conditions to prepare them for transplantation. Plan planting schedules. Time planning to coincide with a rainy season to maximize water availability and survival rates. Involve the community. Mobilize local communities to participate in planting, creating a sense of ownership and stewardship. Post-planting monitoring. Survival tracking. Monitor survival rates and replace dead or damaged trees as needed. Soil and biodiversity monitoring. Evaluate improvements in soil health and biodiversity over time. Long-term management. Implement measures to protect the reforested area from illegal logging, grazing, and other threats. Promoting global efforts. Raise awareness. Educate people about the importance of reforestation and tree nurseries through campaigns, social media, and workshops. Share knowledge. Disseminate best practices, research findings, and success stories to inspire others. Leverage technology. Use GIS, drones, and mobile apps to track reforestation progress and improve planning. Sustainable scaling and replication. Economic incentives. Develop income-generating activities like agroforestry, ecotourism, or selling surplus seedlings to make nurseries financially sustainable. Adapt to local contexts. Customize approaches to fit different cultural, ecological, and economic contexts worldwide. Policy advocacy. Work with governments to create supportive policies for reforestation, such as land rights, subsidies, and conservation laws. By following these steps, tree nurseries can serve as a foundation for large-scale reforestation and environmental regeneration, ensuring ecological and social benefits for generations to come. Starting tree nurseries to reforest and regenerate the environment globally is an essential and strategic way to combat deforestation, restore biodiversity, and mitigate the effects of climate change. Establishing a tree nursery requires a series of detailed and well-planned steps, from research and local engagement to sustainable nursery operations and post-planting care. Here is a comprehensive explanation of how to establish tree nurseries with a focus on global reforestation and environmental regeneration. Assessing local needs and conditions. Before establishing a tree nursery, it is crucial to thoroughly assess the local ecosystem and identify the environmental needs and restoration goals. This involves researching local ecosystems. Understand the native species of trees that are essential to the local ecosystem. Consider factors such as soil types, climate, water availability, and the existing biodiversity of the area. The selection of trees should align with the natural flora and fauna, ensuring the reforestation effort supports ecosystem health. Defining reforestation goals. Establish clear goals for the reforestation initiative. These could range from regenerating degraded land, improving soil quality, enhancing biodiversity, combating desertification, increasing carbon sequestration, or creating sustainable livelihoods for local communities. Engaging local communities. Involving the local communities in the planning process is vital. Indigenous knowledge, local expertise, and community participation are critical for the success of the nursery and the reforestation project. Understanding community needs, cultural significance of trees, and land use practices will ensure that the project aligns with their interests. Planning the nursery. Proper planning is key to the success of a tree nursery. This involves several logistical and practical considerations. Site selection. Choosing an appropriate location for the nursery is essential. The site should be close to the reforestation area, as this reduces transportation challenges for the seedlings. Additionally, it should have good access to water, fertile soil, and natural protection from extreme weather. Design and layout. The layout of the nursery should optimize space for seedbeds, planting areas, irrigation systems, and storage for tools and materials. This design should include shaded areas for seedling protection, raised seedbeds for better drainage, and space for future expansion as the nursery grows. Seed selection. A critical step in nursery planning is selecting the right tree species. It is important to use seeds from native trees and a variety of species that cater to ecological, economic, and cultural needs. Focus should be placed on species that contribute to soil improvement, wildlife habitats, and sustainable livelihoods. Establishing the nursery. Once planning is complete, setting up the nursery involves creating the infrastructure and beginning operations. Infrastructure setup. Establish the physical infrastructure, including the construction of seedbeds, irrigation systems, shade houses, and storage facilities. Shade houses are particularly important to protect young seedlings from direct sunlight. Seed germination. Begin by sowing seeds in specially prepared soil or containers. It's important to ensure the conditions are optimal for germination, including controlling temperature, humidity, and light. Regular watering and care are essential to help the seeds sprout successfully. Nursery maintenance. Throughout the growth process, regular maintenance is crucial. Seedlings need constant care, including watering, weeding, and protection from pests or diseases. It's important to use organic and environmentally friendly practices, avoiding harmful chemicals that could affect the surrounding environment. Scaling operations. As the nursery begins to produce seedlings, it is important to scale up the operation to meet the increasing demand for reforestation efforts. Training staff and volunteers. It's essential to train both staff and local volunteers in the proper care of seedlings and the management of the nursery. Proper training ensures that the work is done efficiently and sustainably. Increasing capacity. As the nursery becomes established, expand its capacity to meet growing demand. This can be achieved by replicating successful practices in other areas or by increasing production within the existing nursery. Securing partnerships and funding. Reforestation projects require significant funding. Establishing partnerships with governments, NGOs, corporations, and international organizations can help secure financial and technical support. Additionally, securing grants or investing in sustainable income-generating activities can ensure the longevity of the nursery. Preparing for planting. Once the seedlings are ready for planting, it's crucial to prepare both the nursery and the reforestation site. Harden off seedlings. Before transferring the seedlings to the field, they should be gradually exposed to outdoor conditions, sunlight, wind, and temperature fluctuations to prepare them for the transition. Plan planting schedules. Proper timing is critical for planting. The best time to plant is typically during the rainy season, as it ensures that the young trees will have access to sufficient water, increasing their chances of survival. Community involvement. Engaging local communities in the planting process is beneficial. By involving people in the physical act of planting, it fosters a sense of ownership and responsibility for the forest. Local groups can organize planting events or collaborate with schools and NGOs to increase participation. Post-planting monitoring. Planting trees is just the first step. Ensuring their long-term survival is just as important. Survival tracking. After planting, it's important to regularly monitor the health of the trees. This includes tracking survival rates, providing additional care if needed, and replacing dead or damaged trees. Monitoring soil and biodiversity. Over time, Assess how the reforested area is improving soil quality, promoting biodiversity, and restoring ecosystem functions. This monitoring can help identify areas for improvement and ensure the reforestation efforts are successful. Long-term protection. Reforested areas need protection from illegal activities such as logging, grazing, or agriculture. Establishing legal protections, community patrols, or sustainable land use agreements can help ensure the longevity of the reforested area. Promoting global efforts. Reforestation is a global issue, and raising awareness and fostering collaboration are essential for achieving large-scale impact. Raising awareness. Use various platforms, including social media, workshops, and community events, to educate people on the importance of reforestation and how they can contribute. Sharing knowledge. Disseminate successful practices and lessons learned from the nursery and reforestation efforts to inspire others around the world. This can include publishing research, organizing international conferences, or creating online resources. Leveraging technology. New technologies like GIS, geographic information systems, drones, and mobile apps can help monitor the progress of reforestation, track deforestation, and optimize nursery operations. Sustainable scaling and replication. For reforestation efforts to be sustainable and scalable, economic and policy considerations must be addressed. Creating economic incentives, establishing income-generating activities like agroforestry, ecotourism, or selling surplus seedlings can help make tree nurseries financially viable. When local communities benefit economically from reforestation efforts, they are more likely to support the initiative. Adapting to local contexts. Every region has unique social, ecological, and economic conditions. As such, reforestation projects must be adaptable to these conditions. Tailoring approaches to local cultures, available resources, and the specific environmental needs is crucial for success. Advocating for supportive policies. Advocate for government policies that support reforestation efforts, such as financial incentives, land use laws, and environmental protections. Working with policymakers to create favorable regulations can help sustain and expand reforestation efforts. By following these steps, tree nurseries can serve as the foundation for large-scale reforestation and environmental regeneration. Involving local communities, focusing on sustainability, and leveraging global partnerships are critical to creating lasting environmental benefits. Reforestation projects, when done effectively, can have far-reaching impacts on biodiversity, climate change mitigation, and ecosystem restoration, contributing to a healthier planet for future generations. How can we integrate this into society and every industry? Integrating tree nurseries, reforestation efforts, and environmental regeneration into society and across every industry requires a multifaceted approach. It involves creating systems that promote sustainability, engaging different sectors, and fostering widespread collaboration. This integration can be achieved through policy, business practices, education, and community engagement. Here are strategies to integrate tree nurseries and reforestation efforts across society and industries. Policy and government action. Governments play a critical role in integrating environmental regeneration into society. Key actions include creating supportive legislation. Governments should implement policies that promote reforestation, conservation, and sustainable land management. This includes financial incentives such as tax credits, subsidies, and grants for reforestation projects and tree nursery development. Mandating corporate responsibility. Governments can encourage or mandate industries to take part in reforestation through regulations, such as requiring companies to offset carbon emissions by planting trees or funding reforestation initiatives. Policies that encourage businesses to invest in green projects can help align corporate strategies with environmental sustainability goals. Supporting research and innovation. Governments can fund research into reforestation techniques, tree nursery management, and environmental restoration practices. This could lead to more efficient and scalable solutions for global reforestation efforts. Encouraging local partnerships. Governments can foster partnerships between local communities, NGOs, corporations, and international organizations to implement reforestation projects. These partnerships can address specific regional environmental needs, leveraging local knowledge while scaling up the impact. Corporate and industrial engagement. Industry players across sectors must adopt sustainable practices to integrate reforestation into their business models. Here's how. Sustainable business practices. Companies should incorporate reforestation into their corporate social responsibility (CSR) strategies by funding tree nurseries, supporting local reforestation projects, or adopting agroforestry and sustainable land use practices. This can include partnering with environmental NGOs to plant trees in deforested areas or investing in carbon offset programs. Sustainable supply chains. Industries such as agriculture, timber, and mining should adopt sustainable sourcing practices that support reforestation and prevent further deforestation. Companies could source materials from certified sustainable sources, plant trees to offset their environmental impacts, and work with local communities to regenerate degraded land. Eco-friendly products and services. Manufacturing and consumer goods companies can integrate environmental sustainability by offering eco-friendly products made from sustainably sourced materials. Packaging can also be made from biodegradable or recyclable materials, and companies could explore creating green products that are actively involved in environmental restoration efforts. Green investments. Financial industries, including banks and investment firms, can offer green bonds or other financing options specifically for reforestation projects, tree nurseries, and environmental regeneration initiatives. Investment in companies that prioritize sustainability can help scale up reforestation and regeneration efforts globally. Education and awareness. Integrating reforestation and tree nurseries into society begins with education at all levels. Awareness can drive public participation and influence consumer behavior. Environmental education. Schools, universities, and educational institutions should teach students about the importance of trees, reforestation, and ecosystem restoration. This could be incorporated into curricula to raise future generations' awareness and skills related to environmental stewardship. Corporate training and awareness. Corporations should provide training to employees about sustainability practices, including the importance of supporting tree nurseries and reforestation. This could include internal workshops, seminars, and awareness campaigns about the company's environmental impact and how employees can contribute. Public awareness campaigns. Governments and environmental NGOs can run media campaigns to educate the public on the benefits of tree planting, reforestation, and environmental regeneration. Social media, documentaries, and community outreach programs can create a movement that encourages individuals and communities to get involved in tree planting. Engagement through technology. Leverage digital platforms to create awareness and encourage global participation in reforestation efforts. Social media campaigns, online platforms for donating to reforestation projects, and mobile apps for tracking tree planting can amplify participation. Collaboration between sectors. Collaboration between different sectors and industries is crucial for integrating tree nurseries and reforestation into all aspects of society. Here's how this can be achieved. Public-private partnerships. Governments, businesses, and environmental organizations should form partnerships to fund and execute large-scale reforestation programs. Public-private partnerships, PPPs, could pool resources and expertise to create more effective and widespread reforestation initiatives. Industry-specific collaborations. Specific industries can collaborate with environmental organizations to create sector-based solutions. For example, the agriculture sector could work with reforestation experts to implement agroforestry models, or the tourism sector could fund tree planting initiatives as part of their environmental commitment. Global initiatives and networks. International networks, such as the United Nations Bond Challenge or the Trillion Tree Campaign, aim to restore global forests. Industries can collaborate with these global initiatives by committing to large-scale reforestation goals and tracking their progress. Consumer participation and engagement. Consumers can have a significant impact on the demand for reforestation efforts through their purchasing choices and lifestyle habits. Supporting sustainable products. Consumers should be encouraged to support products that are sustainably sourced or certified by environmental standards such as Fair Trade or FSC, Forest Stewardship Council. Products from companies involved in reforestation and environmental regeneration should be marketed as eco-friendly and socially responsible. Participating in tree planting. Consumers can actively participate in tree planting by donating to reforestation projects, volunteering in local tree planting events, or even creating their own urban gardens or small-scale nurseries. Corporate accountability. Consumers can push companies to integrate environmental practices by demanding transparency about their sustainability efforts. Engaging in campaigns that urge companies to offset their carbon emissions by funding tree nurseries or reforestation projects can also drive action. Scaling through technology and innovation. Technology can play a pivotal role in scaling reforestation efforts and ensuring efficient integration across sectors. Using technology for monitoring and tracking, advanced technologies like satellite imagery, drones, and geographic information systems (GIS) can help monitor deforestation, track the growth of planted trees, and assess ecosystem health. These technologies can also help optimize the placement of new tree nurseries and assess their impact. Data-driven approaches utilize data collection and analysis to assess the most effective strategies for planting and maintaining trees. This could include soil health, water availability, and biodiversity data, which will help guide decisions for future reforestation projects. Automation and innovation in nursery operations. Automated systems for irrigation, temperature control, and seedling management can improve efficiency in tree nurseries. Innovations such as vertical farming techniques could also be explored for creating space-efficient and scalable tree nurseries in urban areas. Economic incentives for all sectors. To encourage industries to adopt reforestation and sustainable practices, economic incentives can be powerful tools. Carbon offset programs. Industries that produce carbon emissions can invest in tree nurseries or reforestation projects as a way to offset their carbon footprint. Governments or international bodies can provide certification for carbon credits or other financial incentives for companies that fund or actively participate in reforestation. Green financing. Banks and financial institutions can offer low-interest loans or grants for businesses that invest in environmental regeneration projects, including tree nurseries and reforestation efforts. This would enable more industries to integrate these practices into their operations without financial burden. Payment for ecosystem services. PES governments or environmental organizations can implement PES programs where companies or individuals are compensated for engaging in environmental protection activities such as planting trees or maintaining forests. This creates a direct financial incentive for industries to participate in reforestation efforts. Building a circular economy. Reforestation fits naturally into the concept of a circular economy, where the extraction of natural resources is balanced with environmental regeneration. Integrating reforestation in circular supply chains. Industries can develop circular supply chains that include reforestation as a key element. For example, companies that rely on wood or other forest products can integrate sustainable forest management and tree planting as part of their value chain. Waste-to-tree initiatives. Certain industries, like agriculture or food processing, can convert waste into compost or organic matter to support tree nurseries. Integrating waste recycling and reforestation helps close the loop in the production-consumption cycle. Integrating tree nurseries, reforestation, and environmental regeneration into society and across industries requires a collective effort from governments, businesses, consumers, and communities. Through supportive policies, industry-wide collaboration, sustainable business practices, technological innovation, and widespread education, society can move towards a more sustainable future where reforestation is central to global environmental health. By aligning economic incentives, industry goals, and social responsibility, reforestation can be embedded into the fabric of modern society, benefiting both the environment and the economy for generations to come. How can we scale this up to develop renewable industries to supply the world? Scaling up tree nurseries and reforestation efforts to develop renewable industries that can supply the world requires a combination of strategic planning, technological innovation, financial investment, and collaboration across sectors. By integrating sustainable practices into various industries, such as energy, agriculture, construction, and manufacturing, it is possible to build a global renewable industry ecosystem based on environmental regeneration and sustainability. Below is a comprehensive strategy for scaling up this initiative to support the development of renewable industries worldwide. Transition to renewable materials and products. One of the most impactful ways to scale up reforestation efforts is by shifting industries to use renewable, sustainable materials that come from reforestation and responsible tree planting initiatives. Key sectors can integrate these materials into their production processes. Wood and timber for construction. The construction industry can rely on sustainably sourced timber from reforestation projects instead of using unsustainably harvested wood. Promoting the use of sustainably grown timber for building materials, including housing, furniture, and infrastructure, can reduce the carbon footprint of the construction industry. Biomass for energy. As part of the transition to renewable energy, biomass sourced from tree nurseries and sustainable forestry can be utilized to produce bioenergy. This includes biofuels, biogas, and bioelectricity, which could help replace fossil fuels in industrial and power generation sectors. Ensuring that biomass is harvested from sustainably managed forests will maintain the integrity of the ecosystem. Agroforestry products. Agroforestry, which integrates tree planting with agricultural practices, can provide renewable resources such as fruits, nuts, rubber, and timber while improving soil health and biodiversity. By scaling agroforestry, industries like food production, natural cosmetics, and rubber manufacturing can rely on renewable, sustainably sourced materials. Paper and pulp industry. The paper industry, traditionally one of the biggest contributors to deforestation, can transition to using wood from sustainable tree nurseries. The creation of new pulp mills using responsibly harvested wood can ensure that the entire paper supply chain is sustainable, from raw material sourcing to production. Promote the use of bio-based products. Bio-based products made from trees and other renewable materials can replace petroleum-based and non-renewable products. As part of scaling renewable industries, consider the following. Bioplastics and packaging. Shift the plastics industry toward producing biodegradable bioplastics made from plant fibers or tree-based materials. Trees can provide natural polymers that replace petroleum-based plastics in packaging, textiles, and medical supplies. Natural fibers and textiles. The fashion and textile industries can transition to using natural fibers like hemp, bamboo, and cotton from agroforestry or sustainable reforestation initiatives. These fibers can replace synthetic materials such as polyester and nylon, which have significant environmental impacts. Carbon fiber and composite materials. Biocomposites and carbon fibers derived from tree fibers can replace traditional composite materials used in automotive, aerospace, and construction industries. These bio-based alternatives would offer a renewable option for these high-tech sectors while reducing reliance on fossil fuels. Leveraging technology and innovation. Technology plays a critical role in scaling up reforestation and creating renewable industries that can supply the world. Through technological innovation, industries can increase efficiency and minimize the environmental impact of their operations. Genetic engineering of trees. Advances in biotechnology could help develop tree species that grow faster, are more resilient to pests and diseases, and sequester more carbon. By breeding or genetically engineering trees to thrive in diverse environments, tree nurseries could produce high-yield species for specific industrial applications. Precision agriculture and agroforestry. Technology can help optimize agroforestry practices through precision agriculture. Drones, sensors, and satellite imagery can be used to monitor tree growth, soil health, and water usage, allowing for the efficient management of reforestation efforts and agroforestry systems. This technology can also support better integration between agriculture and tree planting, ensuring a continuous supply of renewable materials. Carbon capture and utilization. Innovations in carbon capture technologies can help industries extract carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, which can then be stored in reforested lands or converted into products like building materials or synthetic fuels. This will further contribute to the scaling of renewable industries, ensuring that carbon sequestration is part of a closed-loop system. Circular economy innovations. By adopting circular economy principles, industries can recycle waste products from tree nurseries and other renewable resources. For instance, organic waste from tree pruning or agricultural byproducts could be used as raw materials for other industries, reducing waste and increasing resource efficiency. Scaling renewable energy industries. Renewable energy industries such as wind, solar, and hydropower can be supported by sustainable forestry efforts, particularly in the form of bioenergy and green hydrogen. Bioenergy. Biomass energy produced from sustainably managed tree plantations can provide a renewable source of power to the global grid. Large-scale biomass power plants can contribute to the transition away from coal and natural gas, generating cleaner energy for industries, households, and transportation systems. Green hydrogen production. Green hydrogen, produced from renewable energy sources such as solar or wind power, can replace fossil fuels in industries like steel production, transportation, and chemicals. Forests can support this transition by providing sustainable raw materials for the construction of renewable energy infrastructure and supporting the carbon-neutral production of hydrogen. Wind and solar infrastructure. Reforestation efforts can complement renewable energy infrastructure by planting trees that provide shade, improve soil quality, and protect solar panels and wind turbines from environmental degradation. Additionally, reforested areas can offer opportunities for ecotourism and carbon offset credits that can fund further energy infrastructure development. Collaboration with global supply chains. Incorporating reforestation and renewable industries into global supply chains requires collaboration between various stakeholders, governments, businesses, and consumers. Global trade of renewable resources. As industries transition to renewable resources, international trade can play a role in distributing tree-based products like timber, biofuels, and agroforestry goods. Countries with advanced reforestation systems can export renewable resources to those in need, contributing to global sustainability efforts. Partnerships between NGOs, governments, and corporations. Partnerships between international organizations, governments, and corporations can help scale up reforestation efforts and facilitate the integration of renewable materials into industries. These partnerships can be instrumental in providing financial support, sharing technology, and developing industry-wide standards for sustainability. Certifications and standards. International sustainability certifications, such as FSC for forestry and Fair Trade for agroforestry, can be scaled to provide transparency and accountability across supply chains. These certifications will encourage businesses to adopt sustainable practices by demonstrating their commitment to ethical sourcing of renewable materials. Economic and policy incentives. Scaling up renewable industries to supply the world will require both financial incentives and supportive policies. Green subsidies and tax credits. Governments can provide financial incentives for companies that invest in renewable industries, such as offering tax credits, subsidies, and grants to businesses involved in reforestation, sustainable agriculture, and renewable energy projects. These incentives will make it easier for businesses to transition to sustainable practices. Carbon pricing and offsetting. Governments and international organizations can implement carbon pricing mechanisms, such as carbon taxes or cap-and-trade systems, which would incentivize businesses to invest in tree nurseries and reforestation efforts as a way to offset their carbon emissions. Public and private investment. Long-term investment in reforestation and renewable industries is essential to achieving global sustainability goals. Governments can invest in large-scale reforestation initiatives, while private sector companies can invest in green technology and sustainable infrastructure. Combined, these investments will create a strong foundation for the growth of renewable industries worldwide. Empowering local communities. Finally, scaling up renewable industries requires engaging and empowering local communities who can play a key role in tree planting and the sustainable use of natural resources. Community-based forestry and agroforestry. Local communities can be empowered to manage tree nurseries and agroforestry systems, creating a decentralized, sustainable supply of renewable materials. This also provides livelihoods and supports local economies while contributing to reforestation goals. Capacity building. Providing training and resources to local farmers, communities, and small businesses will help scale up the adoption of sustainable practices in agriculture, forestry, and manufacturing. Empowering these communities ensures that renewable industries have broad, global support. Scaling up tree nurseries and reforestation to develop renewable industries that supply the world is a multi-pronged effort that involves governments, industries, communities, and technologies working together. By shifting to renewable materials, incorporating technology and innovation, leveraging global supply chains, and implementing financial and policy incentives, we can transition industries to sustainable practices that not only combat climate change but also create a more resilient and environmentally responsible global economy. How can we make this process carbon negative? To make the process of scaling up tree nurseries, reforestation, and renewable industries carbon negative, meaning that it results in the removal of more carbon dioxide, CO2, from the atmosphere than is emitted, requires a comprehensive approach that focuses on maximizing carbon sequestration while minimizing carbon emissions. This can be achieved through a combination of carbon offsetting, sustainable practices, and the application of advanced technologies. Here are the key strategies for making the process carbon negative. Maximizing carbon sequestration through trees and soil. The primary goal of reforestation and tree nurseries is to capture and store carbon in the form of biomass, tree trunks, branches, leaves, and in soils. To achieve carbon negativity, it is essential to maximize the amount of carbon trees can sequester. Planting high carbon sequestering species. Choosing tree species with high carbon uptake potential is crucial. Fast-growing trees like eucalyptus, poplars, and bamboo sequester more carbon, while species with long lifespans, such as oak or sequoia, can store carbon for centuries. Ensuring that these species are planted in optimal conditions enhances their carbon capture capacity. Agroforestry systems. Integrating trees with agriculture, agroforestry, can increase carbon sequestration on farmlands. Trees planted alongside crops or in pastures not only capture carbon, but also improve soil health, enhance biodiversity, and prevent soil erosion. This results in more carbon being stored in the soil and vegetation, enhancing the carbon negative potential of the system. Soil carbon management. In addition to above-ground biomass, carbon is sequestered in soils. Practices such as cover cropping, reduced tillage, and applying organic matter can enhance soil's ability to store carbon. By adopting regenerative agricultural practices, carbon can be locked in the soil for long periods. Restoration of degraded lands. Reforesting and rehabilitating degraded soils and ecosystems, e.g., through agroecology or rewilding, can restore natural carbon sinks. Degraded land often has lower organic carbon in the soil, but reforesting these areas can dramatically increase their carbon sequestration capabilities. Reducing emissions from tree nursery and forestry operations. While tree nurseries and reforestation efforts are inherently carbon positive in terms of carbon sequestration, emissions during operations can still create a carbon footprint. To make the entire process carbon negative, it is essential to reduce emissions across all stages. Renewable energy use. The energy used to power nurseries, irrigation systems, and equipment for planting should come from renewable sources such as solar, wind, or biomass. Using clean energy will prevent the emission of CO2 from fossil fuel consumption. Electric and low-emission equipment. Transitioning to electric-powered or low-emission machinery in nurseries, for planting, and for other forestry operations helps reduce the carbon footprint. Diesel machinery is a significant source of emissions in traditional forestry operations, so replacing them with electric or hybrid alternatives can significantly reduce carbon emissions. Sustainable fertilization. Fertilizers and pesticides used in nurseries can contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. By adopting organic practices, using bio-based fertilizers, or implementing precision agriculture techniques, emissions can be minimized. Organic fertilizers and compost can also sequester more carbon in the soil. Efficient water use. Water-intensive processes such as irrigation can lead to increased emissions due to the energy used to pump water. By using water-efficient technologies like drip irrigation or rainwater harvesting, nurseries can reduce their carbon footprint. Carbon capture beyond trees. Carbon capture and utilization technologies, CCU, can be integrated into reforestation projects to enhance carbon negativity. Bioenergy with carbon capture and storage, BECCS. This technology involves using biomass from sustainably managed forests or agroforestry to produce energy, capturing the CO2 emissions from the biomass combustion process and storing the captured CO2 underground. This system ensures that more carbon is captured than emitted during the energy production process, making it a carbon-negative energy source. Direct air capture, DAC. Integrating direct air capture technologies with tree planting initiatives can further accelerate carbon removal. DAC systems capture CO2 directly from the air, and the captured CO2 can either be stored underground or used in products, e.g., building materials or synthetic fuels. Coupled with reforestation efforts, this can create a larger-scale carbon-negative effect. Maximizing the circular economy. A circular economy approach ensures that all materials, including those from forests, are reused, reducing waste and the need for new carbon-emitting processes. Here's how it can contribute to a carbon-negative process. Biomass utilization for energy and products. By utilizing the biomass produced from tree nurseries, forests, and agroforestry systems for renewable energy production, biomass power, or for creating bioproducts such as bio-based plastics or building materials, the carbon contained in that biomass remains in use and out of the atmosphere. This ensures that the carbon captured in the trees is kept within the economy, rather than being released back into the atmosphere. Recycling and upcycling. Wood and forest-based materials used for products can be recycled or upcycled into new products, reducing the need for raw material extraction and the carbon emissions that would result from that. Additionally, organic waste from forestry operations, like wood chips or pruning residues, can be converted into biochar, a stable form of carbon that sequesters carbon in the soil. Offsetting and carbon credit programs. To make the entire process carbon negative, organizations and governments can offset the residual emissions from activities that cannot be fully eliminated through carbon sequestration. Carbon credit markets. Reforestation and tree nurseries can generate carbon credits, which can be sold to companies that need to offset their emissions. These carbon credits represent the amount of CO2 sequestered through the planting and maintaining of trees. By participating in these carbon markets, reforestation efforts can generate funding to scale up operations and invest in further emissions-reducing technologies. Large-scale reforestation projects. Engaging in large-scale reforestation efforts, especially in tropical regions where trees grow rapidly and sequester significant amounts of carbon, can contribute to large carbon credits. This can be expanded to areas that have been deforested, leading to a net reduction of atmospheric carbon. Integrating a holistic approach to ecosystem management. To achieve carbon-negative results, the entire ecosystem must be considered, not just the trees themselves, but also the broader environmental impacts. Restoring ecosystems and biodiversity, ecosystem restoration efforts, which include reforestation as well as other regenerative practices, wetland restoration, grassland restoration, etc., contribute to more resilient and carbon-absorbent environments. Biodiversity also plays a crucial role in ecosystem health, leading to more efficient carbon sequestration and more stable carbon storage over time. Reducing deforestation and forest degradation, protecting existing forests is crucial. Avoiding deforestation and preventing forest degradation through sustainable land management can help retain the carbon stored in mature forests, thereby enhancing the carbon-negative impact of new reforestation efforts. Holistic carbon-negative business models. To ensure the reforestation and renewable industries remain carbon-negative, businesses should adopt holistic carbon-negative business models that take into account not just tree planting, but the entire supply chain. Cradle-to-cradle manufacturing. Companies and industries like fashion, construction, and packaging should adopt cradle-to-cradle principles, where products are designed to be fully recyclable or biodegradable at the end of their life cycle. By using renewable, carbon-sequestering materials, businesses can ensure that their processes are carbon-negative from start to finish. Carbon-negative certifications. Businesses can seek carbon-negative certifications or achieve a carbon-positive status through rigorous accounting of their emissions and carbon sequestration efforts. These businesses will have their carbon footprint assessed and their carbon-negative status verified through independent third-party audits, providing transparency and credibility to their sustainability claims. To make the reforestation and renewable industries carbon-negative, it requires a multi-dimensional approach, combining effective carbon sequestration, sustainable forestry management, carbon capture technologies, circular economy practices, and emissions reductions across the value chain. By integrating these strategies, we can not only offset the emissions from various industries, but also create a net positive impact on the planet's carbon balance, effectively reversing some of the damage done by industrialization. This approach, when scaled globally, could significantly contribute to combating climate change and building a sustainable, carbon-negative future.